Like this video and subscribe or Shrek will visit you tonight. Frog discovered in Costa Rica looks like Kermit. Kano Jigoro, the legendary founder of judo. Despite being a smaller man, he could toss large men with ease, but only after persistent studying and practice. On his deathbed, he asked that he be buried in a white belt instead of a black belt. He wanted to be remembered as a learner, not a master. When Paris Notre Dame Cathedral burnt down, Ubisoft, the creators of video game Assassin's Creed, had mapped the cathedral for their game and offered their plans and expertise to help rebuild the iconic building, as well as €500,000 to help with the restoration and reconstruction. Just spotted by satellite full-scale mock-up of a US aircraft carrier in a desert in northwest China. 75 meters. US aircraft carrier shaped target. Rail system. My great-grandfather was a pioneer of Photoshop. Every person pictured here is him, circa 1910s. A pigeon with 200 pills of ecstasy in a little backpack. Frankie Edgar's face while taking a front kick to the chin. In Japan, people don't have signatures. Instead they use stamps called hanko, and every individual in Japan has one. The light pillars in Alaska, they form when the reflection of light from tiny ice crystals are suspended in the atmosphere. A photorealistic image of what William Shakespeare would look like today, based off the portrait to the left. Head size difference between a man and a cane corso. The X-ray image gives certainty the statue, which is more than 1,000 years old, actually contains a skeleton. The most detailed picture showing Michael Jackson's skin disorder, vitiligo. This is the bridge separating China and Macau. Because you drive in the left lane in Macau and the right lane in China, this is how they switch from left to right and vice versa. A high definition image of a solar eclipse. The last photo taken of Hachiko, a Japanese Akita dog for its remarkable loyalty to its owner, Hidesaburo Runo. Hachiko continued to wait for him for over 9 years after his death. 1935. This is Anatoly Bugorsky, a Russian particle physicist. In 1978, he had an accident. He was working on the U-70 synchrotron particle accelerator, but the safety mechanism failed, and a particle beam shot through his head. Despite the ludicrously fatal levels of radiation in him, he somehow survived. 2,000-year-old face cream was found buried by a Roman temple with fingerprints still visible. Scientists broke down the ingredients and recreated the cream, claiming it resembled high-quality creams used today. A. B. Cassowary's eggs are green. A Russian mobster's tombstone. IKEA in Singapore decided to release a completely black hot dog. Passengers using the gym aboard the Titanic. This man is using an early model of a rowing machine. The zoo where tourists are caged. Shadow sculptures made of trash by Tim Noble and Sue Webster. This Australian plant had flowers shaped like hummingbirds. The only airborne image of a Concorde at Mach 2 taken from a British fighter plane. The fighter plane could only fly at the same speed very briefly because it would run out of gas at that speed. The Concorde could fly for hours. Truly incredible engineering. Farmers protect their young cows from frostbite by using special earmuffs. The black dot is planet Mercury. This painting was made by a blind person. If you've seen Band of Brothers, here's the real easy company at the Eagle's Nest. Some US Navy submarines come equipped with Xbox 360 controllers, used to control external cameras. They are cheap and sailors already know how to use them. Textile artist Faye Gam creates mesmerizing carpets that appear to melt into the ground. This X-Men tattoo. This ice formation caused by heavy wind on a mountain top in Slovenia. Child with Waardenburg syndrome. Forest fire in Australia were burning so hot they melted aluminum rims. This small village that is made completely out of sand and is on a stump in the middle of nowhere. Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife minutes before assassination that would lead to World War I. 1914 colorized. Motel manager pouring acid into pools because black people swam in it. This was only 60 years ago. A perfectly intact slave's bedroom has just been discovered in Pompeii. The cramped living quarters contain 3 wooden beds and a chamber pot. Present day Kermit sitting with 1955 Kermit. Paralyzed man's handwriting, translated from thoughts into text with a brain implant. Christmas crab bridge to safely cross highways. Pair burial of the Scythian husband and wife, circa 1000 BC. On this day in 1904, the uprising against mandatory smallpox vaccines began in Brazil. The population turned against the teams that went door to door with vaccines. The uprising resulted in riots, looting and destruction. The uprising was crushed, and the inoculations continued. The iconic photo of Michael Jordan which turned into the logo. Bagger 288, the largest land vehicle in the world. Today I found my grandfather's copy of the World Wide Web Yellow Pages, 1999 edition. It includes URLs and descriptions of content on each website under categories like entertainment, business, finance, and shopping. Luckman's 1999 edition. World Wide Web Yellow Pages includes CD-ROM. Over 10,000 of the best websites in 408 categories. When you don't cut your nails for 69 years. A CT scan of my brain and a 6.2 cm dermoid cyst I had surgically removed in January of 2019. My brain somehow managed to grow around it without causing me to become mentally or physically disabled for 22 years. Long exposure of a meteor shower. Therapy dogs waiting to be let in to comfort patients in hospital. The heads on Easter Island have bodies. In the 1910s, archaeologists studying the hundreds of stone statues on the Pacific island excavated 2 of the figures, revealing full torsos, which measure as high as 33 feet. Limousines designed by J. Orberg, who also built Back to the Future DeLorean and Batman Returns Batmobile. A bust of Napoleon Bonaparte created from a plaster cast of his face the day after he died. The opening ceremony of the Olympic Games in Moscow 1980. Hermit crab in a glass shell. National Museum of Qatar. Tom Ferguson. This morning, the sun reflected perfectly off of the trees in my local forest, giving them a majestic glow. A Lancia Stratus Zero on the streets of Milan in 1970. Mysuru Palace in India. Mustache cups from the Victorian era, 1837 to 1901, invented by British potter Harvey Adams, lost in history pics. A cool beetle mosaic by artist Christopher Molly, real beetles, not a painting. Abandoned grand staircase. Volcanic crater in Iceland. Japanese symbols for tree, woods, and forest. Housing in Lemmer, Netherlands. The ceiling of Nasir al-Mulk Mosque in Iran, built in 19th century. Avenue of the Baobabs, Madagascar. Selfie stick 1957. Man taking a selfie in 1957 using a stick of wood to activate the camera. An example of Victorian trick photography. When the tree finally frees itself from the ground. A cutaway of one of the cables on the Golden Gate Bridge. Golden Gate Bridge. Main span 4,200 feet. Samuel L. Jackson in 1995 versus him the aged in Captain Marvel, which is set in 1995. This is what French painter Jean-Marc Cortet in 1900 imagined schools in the year 2000 to be like. Cyclocosmia, a genus of megalomorph trapdoor spiders, looks like something out of Jumanji. Photographer Clint Ralph spotted a hawk walking like a boss. This metamorphic rock in Norway. Albert Fish colorized. He claimed that in 1910 he cultured a Thomas Kedden for 2 weeks, cut off one half of his wiener, cleaned the wound, gave him $10 plus a kiss, and went home. Kedden's identity and fate are still unknown. Fish went on to kill kids, eat them, and send details to their parents. Cave pearls in Caverns National Park from Carlsbad, New Mexico. What the Awakening statue in Maryland looks like normally, and what it looks like flooded. Daytona Beach 1957. Picasso. Self-portraits at 18, 25, and 90. Sitting above the chaos of Times Square, New York City. This map of all of the sunken Japanese ships of World War II. International Space Station astronauts taste testing vegetables experimentally grown in space. They grew peppers outside Earth and use them for some space tacos. Mark Twain tree stump, American Museum of Natural History. Mesh ghost architecture design example. Review of troops before being sent to front line of World War I. Trieste, Austria, April 1918. Luxury shipping container house, Royal Oak, Michigan. Americanized Star Wars vehicles by Vlad Modurev. Police dog training in Poland 1929. Outside of occasionally flooding golf courses, because of their dance, beavers also drag small trees across highways. The Bin in Los Angeles. A facility with 1,500 secure storage units that allows homeless people a secure place to store their precious belongings. A building shaped like a giant fish. Stork found 1822 in Germany with spear from Central Africa stuck to its neck. The discovery helped zoologists of the time understand the migration of European birds which previously had been unexplainable. Vein viewer in the hospital. Restoration of a 17th century, circa 1618, painting, hiding underneath his 2 centuries of varnish. Polio Paul is one of the last people to utilize an iron lung since contracting the disease decades ago. Picture of a road that stopped an entire forest fire. Huntington Beach during the oil boom in California, 1928. Found a spider's web full of super tiny dewdrops. Movement of a Patek 5204, able to tell time, date, day of the week, different months, leap years, day/night, moon phase, and 2 timers with only springs and gears. This man is Conrad Heyer. The photo was taken in 1852, when Conrad was 103 years old. He was born in 1749, which makes him the oldest person ever photographed. He was born 7 years before Mozart and was 40 years old when the French Revolution started. The dowdy couple in the American Gothic painting are actually father and daughter, not husband and wife. Incredible sunset at the fairy pools on the Isle of Skye, Scotland, UK. In 2018, Banks's Girl with a Balloon sold for £1 million at auction. When the gavel fell, it partially destructed by a shredder the artist had hidden inside the frame. The owner held onto the work before selling it in October 2021 for £18.5 million, representing a 1,750% profit in just 3 years of ownership. The backside of the Taj Mahal that most tourists don't see. House in Italy turns in search of sun. Mechanism allows to vary the landscape and erect solar panels. A group of spam whales sleeping vertically as a group at about 20 meters of depth. The behavior was first observed in 2008. The whales sleep for 15 to 20 minutes and are completely still before waking up and moving on. One of the great discoveries of archaeology, Shija Idol, circa 10,500 BC, the world's oldest wood sculpture. Direcala Hajaba is an orange vendor in the city of Mangala, Karnataka, India. Saved money from his vendor business to build a school in his village. In 2020, he was awarded with Padma Shri, India's fourth highest civilian award. One of the oldest doll houses from 1639. Gas station themed love hotel room in Manila. Gasoline station. Las Piñas. Functional Mach 5 from Speed Racer at the 2021 Hilton Head Island Motoring Festival, Cancas de Elegance. A Sears Roebuck catalog assembly line in 1942. The way these stones look elevated after sand being washed away by the rain. The bark of the rainbow eucalyptus is continuously renewed. Underneath, a green layer of bark appears, which changes its color several times over time, from green to blue, violet, red, orange and finally to brown. Every year in Harbin, Heilongjiang, China, there's an international ice and snow sculpture festival where people build giant ice structures as large as a whole city. The late Roy Sullivan survived being struck by lightning 7 times. That is a world record. This may be the first portrait photo ever taken. It's from 1839. Marvel one last time at one of the 7 great wonders of the internet before developers bulldoze it. Neutral response. 563,000 likes. 563,000 dislikes. Frozen spider web outside my office after an early morning freeze. Scientists at Northwestern University in Chicago have created a self-assembling gel that stimulates nerve regeneration in paralyzed mice when injected at the site of spinal cord injuries. At 4 weeks the mice walk again, and they are currently working toward a translation to this for human paralysis. The walls of Mycenae, where King of Kings Agamemnon lived, who attacked and destroyed Troy with his brother King Menelaus. Gamers playing the Magnavox Odyssey in 1972. Milky Way shines next to the Cumbavija volcano on La Palma. A hairless bear. Photorealistic current day Napoleon in a suit. Low budget Avengers Tower at Istanbul. Children play by a tall boy bomb crater with the wreck of the German battleship Tirpitz in the background, being broken up near Norway. Just thought I'd share an extremely satisfying set of inlays I did. Stomach content of an Australian feral cat. Sergeant Stubby fought 17 battles in World War I. and became a war hero. He also captured a German spy on his own, even after getting wounded by shrapnel. President Kennedy examining an early Colt AR-15 in the White House Oval Office, April 19, 1963. His aide, Major General Ted Clifton, is holding an example of a CIA-developed crossbow. A plant incapable of photosynthesis, but good at forming bridges. Having no chlorophyll, pine drops make their living as parasites on mycorrhizal fungi, which in turn are parasitic on conifer roots. I personally found this one growing in an aspen grove, which are known to be interconnected with fungi. The TP-82, a triple-barreled shotgun/rifle combo weapon with a machete stock carried by Russian cosmonauts into space. It was used as a personal defense weapon in case they landed in the Siberian wilderness and had to fight off the local wildlife, mainly bears. I pointed my telescope at a spot near the Orion Nebula for over 20 hours to see all the faint details around this nebula. Hong Kong now and then. 1920. A juvenile Brukesia macra stands on a match head. Abandoned Soviet radar in the Chernobyl zone, Ukraine. Frida Kahlo dressed as a boy, 1924. A 30-second exposure of a Perseid meteor taken Duffus Castle in Moray, Scotland in 2013. Marble sarcophagus of King of Russia Yaroslav the Wise weighing 6 tons at St. Sophia Cathedral in Kiev, Ukraine. The Tree of Death. During World War II, the Germans used this tree to hang partisans. After the region it was in was liberated, partisans hung Germans. Goblin Valley State Park or Mario's Playground.